Welcome to the Unscripted Woman podcast, the show for women who are done living by the rules and ready to reinvent their lives from the inside out. If you're ready to design your next chapter on your own damn terms, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Unscripted Woman podcast. Today's guest is Stacy Schaefer. She is qualified with an MA, her LPC, and she is a dedicated children's therapist in Arvada, Colorado. She has more than 20 years of experience and specializes in grief and anxiety. She creates a safe space for healing for the kids. In her downtime, she loves surfing, kickboxing, reading, and quality time with her friends and her absolutely adorable golden retriever therapy dog, Willow. With Love from a Children's Therapist is her first book, which is available on Amazon, and she hopes that people will feel both seen and heard in the pages of that book. Thank you for joining me. I'm so excited. This is going to be
fun. Thank you for having me. I've been really excited. We've had this on the books.
Yeah, you were like one of the first ones to book in.
Yeah, I'm that girl. I am that girl.
I appreciate it. So I do have a few notes because we did chat and I wanted to take notes so I can make sure that I don't miss anything. So if you see me looking down, that's why. So if you are comfortable talking about it, your childhood experience, because it really shaped who you are and what you're doing right now.
Sure. Yeah, it wasn't great. Let me tell you, it was not great.
Yeah.
So I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is not my fault. I just showed up on the scene in Las Vegas. And my mom was a single mom. They divorced when I was 3 months old. And I had my primary babysitter when she was a single mom was like my uncle, and he touched me. And I tried to tell my mom and she couldn't hear it. And it's evident of taking care of your own trauma. So generational trauma doesn't happen because, spoiler alert, she has a story. But didn't react well, didn't take my side. And so then I was sexually abused for 7 more years by my uncle. Stepdad joins the scene when I was 10. We love him. He was like, something's wrong with this kid. She's like depressed and she's in 5th grade. And so they brought me somewhere and they handed me paperwork. It was 1989. I was 10. And they're like, do this paperwork. And then, has someone touched you? I'm like, uh-huh. And so my mom comes in, my baby, I didn't know. And so I then testified because it was a time in the world when we thought that was a good idea to have kids testify on booster seats in the court. So that happened, went to jail. The worst part of my story, just like trigger warnings, like it will be very not detailed, but my mom saw some ad, I guess, in a magazine that was like, does your kid have had hard stuff happen? We'll take care of them. And so my mom paid $100 to have 4 men take me from my bed in the middle of the night, in my pajamas and no shoes and no glasses because I'm really blind, and went to a treatment facility in Utah, which they've now uncovered. There's been lots of lawsuits, lots of documentaries. But it was, for me, that was the first night I was trafficked. And so it was a horrible year, believe it or not. I come home, mom has developed breast cancer. And so mom and stepdad are out of the house at the time. And I remember the moment. I think like maybe your listeners can relate to any part of this. But I remember the moment when I was at my front door when I came home from Utah. And I was like, that was then, this is now. We're starting over. And so I was like, we're going to put that in a box because surely that's not going to haunt me later. We'll put that in a box because the container wasn't there to hold that. Mom and stepdad are at the hospital all the time. And I became like shiny and good grades and did speech and debate and was friendly, all the things. And my mom died when I was 22, and I specialize in grief and anxiety. Because let's go to grad school to help other people instead, and did that. And then it wasn't until about 10 years ago that I started talking about the hardest part of my story. So there's a little bit of trauma in there.
Just a bit. How long were you at the school in Utah?
360 days.
So the full year.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And I know that because it was actually like a money laundering scheme too, I guess. There was like a figure head and there was like 11 places underneath it. But they're now uncovering like so many years later like what happened. But the men were, I mean, it's in documents, but I don't believe that they got punished for the abuse. I think what people went to town on was like the money situation. So
Mm.
so there was no justice there. But I'm free.
Yeah.
So
Wow. And you survived.
I survived.
Yeah.
Like because like all of me is so resilient that I'm like, I'm scrappy. Can't get me down. Scrappy.
Yeah. You don't come across that way at all. Oh, amazing. Amazing. So, because of that experience, that's what drew you to helping other children.
For
You're
sure.
kind of you're healing your child in the process.
Yeah, like little Stacy deserves so much better, obviously. And that whole statement of be who you needed when you were younger, like that to me, I embody that. Because had there been, I have a chapter in my book called hashtag get your own Stacy. And it's like about doing your work. But had I had a Stacy had a Stacy, at like any point in that journey, any point, like that would have changed the trajectory of my story.
Yeah.
And so I love that I get to be part of, not as dramatic, thank God, but that I get to be part of early intervention in showing up in a way that is going to benefit them when they're out there and it's hard anyway to be a grown up.
Mhm.
But I hope that it's a little less hard and they have more tools.
Right. So, when we were talking, I remember you telling me, and I could not believe that your practice is full. You have no more room for new clients, new patients, because your roster is completely taken by the kids that you have now.
Yeah, and I have a wait list it's pretty long. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the need is so high. It is not a slow time in youth mental health. And that was a lot of writing my book is like I can only see so many people. Like
Mhm.
and so I want to share with the world. But yeah, I mean, I would see more if I could, but for to be like a healthy clinician, I am capped out.
Mhm. So, can you obviously you can't get into details because confidentiality, but can you give us an idea of, on a daily basis, what kind of trauma are these kids going through? I know what a particular one is because we discussed
Yeah.
it at length, and I'd love
Yeah,
you to
yeah.
get into that. But I'm sure
Sure.
there's other things as well.
Yeah, yes. And I can like if there's not a way for someone to identify themselves and what I'm talking about, then I can say anything I need to with discretion. So what you're referring to is I am in the same school district as the last high school shooting at Evergreen High, and so I see it's a mountain town. I'm in Colorado, and so as you said in my intro, and so a lot of people come down the mountain for like services like in my area. And so I am already seeing people impacted by that school shooting. And it is um it's a really hard one for me that we are not taking care of our kids the way that we should be. And us clinicians, we will hold space. Like, I will agree with you that that is terrifying, except that doesn't feel enough.
Mhm.
Um, it doesn't feel enough. And because it's not. And so I see, and so the residual impact of that, because the school district I'm in is called Jefferson. It's the biggest one in Colorado. And so I see all of these kids, most of my clients are in Jefferson County. And so I see like the ripple effect of like when something happens. And all of these kids have said, I just knew it was a matter of time, like that it's not if, that it's when. And
Mhm.
so, and then a close by here high school had like a copycat threat the next day. And so kids weren't going to school, but they're coming to their sessions. And so I see, like, I would say the number one reason like kids come here is anxiety, and I would say it's way up there with going to school, and it's valid. Like
Mhm.
like somebody said to me this week, a teenager said to me, I don't know why I'm preparing for the future. My school's probably going to get shut up anyway.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
That poor thing.
Hmm. Yeah. And like, they're like, tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. And you can't.
No, and I'm like, I'm like, it is ridiculous. So that is a big one. I do specialize in grief. And so I see like kids that have had uh a a person die, and one of my closest kid therapist friends who lives in Evergreen, her son had an accident. He was 10, and like this week
Oh
he
no.
died. He died. And so
Oh.
yeah, and so I was like, I obviously I put my name in to see like, the friends of Carter, but I can't see anyone too closely connected, it's conflict of interest, but I guarantee you that like it was so tragic. So many of those kids are going to need grief support. And so I was like, I'm not taking new clients, but I will take anybody connected to Carter.
Hmm. Wow. Terrible. So I guess the question, because, when we were talking, I'm in Canada, so it isn't prevalent here like it is there. Our schools do have drills, where it's lock down, lock out, that sort of thing. Um, but it's really more precaution than anything. They don't carry, bulletproof backpacks, or the teachers don't have weapons, that sort of thing. So how do we support these children? Like, we
Mhm.
can't say to them, you don't have to worry. You don't need to worry about it. But
Mhm.
you also don't want them to be terrified to go to school every day. So
Mhm.
how do the parents balance that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's really tricky. I hear parents a lot, and it's not a bad idea. But they will tell them the measures their particular school has in place, and I think that is really great. What I think helps at least kids in my practice, is to validate those fears, right? Because you're not going to talk them out of it. You're not going to be like, well, like you have security guards, and then be like, well, and they can, the security guard that had left early at Evergreen. And
Oh.
so yeah, they left at 10:30. It happened at noon. And so they, because there can be holes in all of those arguments, right? Like, well, it's unlikely. Well, and they're like, is it? And so I do what I do with most issues, right? Is to validate their actual experience, because I think that helps more than anything. There, granted, so many kids after Evergreen now do online school,
Hmm.
and so that they're like, I literally can't. And so I think, and because of COVID, there's just so many options like available, but it's not it's like it's better than having panic attacks going to school every day, but it's not like ideal
Hmm.
socially. And so I validate, like I tell them, yeah, a little kid said to me, what did you do when there was a shooter drill? Were you scared? And I'm like, I was like, you know what? I am really, really sad that it is your experience. The timing that when I went to school, it was not an issue. And I cannot imagine going to school being afraid. That must be terrifying. And they're like, yeah. Anyway, and so it's part of their experience because the kids of today have no they've no experience not having lockdown drills. So it's normalized to them. Like
Which
that's
is sad in and of itself.
right. Yeah. Like that and the day Evergreen happened, September 10th, like a kid bounded into me and said, there's a shooter. And it wasn't the angry mankind, it was the bad kid kind. What? You are 6 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I would say that um I do validate because I feel like everybody like wants to be seen and heard in their experience. I will talk to them, about measures that what they're doing, what would make them feel safer. We talk about that, but I think that the first step with most everything is validation and to be seen.
Right, right. So for parents who, the parents of these children who are going to school, they're doing the drills, they're hearing these stories because when they happen, they're all over the news, they're all over the internet. There's videos, which no one needs to see, but they're out there. And so, how do parents support their kids beyond acknowledging their feelings?
Yeah, I mean, I think because the problem is that there isn't an actual solution.
Yeah.
That it's like, yeah, you can buy the bulletproof things, but I think they tell them a lot that statistically their school and their chances, but I don't think that lands as much as they would want it to because again, when that tragedy happened, like no kid that I saw, zero, was like surprised or like they're like, oh yeah, like it's because we are actually I'm guessing of Columbine.
Mm-hmm.
This is the school district that Columbine is in. It was in Jefferson County.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, it's in Littleton, which is about half an hour away, but like I said, it's a big school district. So it's the same school district that Columbine happened. And so these kids have known about Columbine since the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what parents do and what I do is to equip them with like skills to manage like that level of anxiety. But it is really hard because old school before all this, some anxiety to go to school would be like maybe seen as a delay tactic, but this is valid. It's
Mm-hmm.
really valid. And so I think that's hard. I have like clients that won't take care of their monthly cycle because they're afraid if they go to the bathroom they'll get locked out if it's a shooter drill because you can't get back in your class, the door's locked. And so I have kids that I would rather bleed through my clothes than like die bleeding.
Wow.
That's the America we're in. And so um, like in those kind of situations, I think that parents like they'll buy them product and give them things. But really, what I want to answer is that well, there's a solution to that, and here's how to manage that. But it's really um practical things, pointing out the things that they have at school, validating those fears, and saying no matter what happens, I'll always find you. Like I'll
Mm-hmm.
always find you. Like if there's a threat at your school, things shut down. In this school district too, I was it 3 years ago? I don't know. Somebody from Florida um made a threat somehow that she was going to shoot up Colorado schools. So that day, all school was canceled. And so I'm like, sure, like yay, to keep them safe, and they found her. She was an evergreen. They found her, but I remember thinking, surely we have a better solution,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't.
Mm.
And so we hold space, here for that, because I think that until we get a handle on the gun situation, this is their reality,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Wow.
painful, because I talk with kids a lot about what they can control versus what they can't. And it's so out of control that the adults don't know what to do.
Right. Right. Well, the professionals don't know what to do.
Professionals don't know what to do. Like, because like the idea of teachers having guns, some of the teachers like, I don't want a gun. Like, I like, do you see how many ways that could go wrong? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's a terrifying thought. I wouldn't want my children's teacher to have a gun in the classroom.
oh, no, like kids have said to me, my math teacher doesn't handle their emotions well when they get mad at us in class. I don't want them to have a gun. Like, their former favorite student comes in, like, are you going to shoot your student? It's just, it's just ridiculous. And I think that for kids with anxiety related to that, there's not much to offer them aside from managing their own anxiety, because
Mm-hmm.
factually speaking, like, it can feel like a war zone. But for the most part, kids, we go do our lives. I
Mm-hmm.
was on a podcast with someone from Ireland, and she was like, America, right? Stay safe. And I was like, thank you. But it's not like you hear about it on the news, but it's like we're living just like everybody else. We're just not surprised anymore when a mass
Mm-hmm.
shooting happens.
Mm. So, for the kids who are dealing with grief, we're going to move on from the
Yeah.
shootings because it's
Yeah,
just,
right. I know, right? Yeah.
and of course,
Let's move into a lighter subject.
yeah, grief. And you have your emotional support Canadian here. So,
I'm able to support Canadian. Yay. One will be assigned to you if one has not been assigned to you.
yeah, I'll take the list for those that need it. Um, so I know like the school shootings and stuff, it tends to focus on the older kids, the high school kids, I mean, it is the younger ones as well, but I find that, well, from what we hear, a lot of where it's happening is the older kids. So no, that's not true. It's the younger kids.
Yeah, a bit. Oh, who are doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant the schools. I thought you meant like it's happening at the high schools. It's happening and I was like, no, the elementary schools and middle schools are getting it too. Sorry.
Oh, geez. So with with the grief, I mean, obviously, a child who's 5 is going to process things differently than someone who's 16, especially if it's the loss of a parent or something like that. Um, so, when you're working with these children who are experiencing grief, is it very much like a one on one support, like it is with the anxiety, or do you deal more with, the whole family in a holistic manner to try and support the child?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in my practice, it's one on one, but I do parent support. I could like connect with the parents. But we have a place here in Colorado called Judy's House, and it was like a famous football player. His mom was Judy, and she died when he was a kid of breast cancer, and so then he like founded this place. So it's amazing. And when I moved to Colorado, I led groups there, but they have specific age groups for like it's all like the whole thing is all about grief, and then a parent group. And so for people that want like group support, like we're like Judy's House is like the mecca, is like where you go. And
Mm-hmm.
so I do a lot of one-on-one grief, like art therapy. I love, like, there's a whole bunch of different kind of things that I do. Like I buy these glass like heart jars,
Mm-hmm.
and I buy different color sand, and I have them assign a feeling to the sand and pour the amount that they feel of that feeling in. And so then it's like a layered like sand like heart. And so I
Mm-hmm.
do kind of some of those kind of things to facilitate grief, because it does look different in kids. But some of them that are older, they just want to talk about it, and that is obviously great too, like to have those kind of conversations. Because I mean, I have a lot of kids that tell me this is the one place that I go that I'm not interrupted. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's important to me that it holds space for whatever, like I can handle whatever's like coming at me. I just want it to come at me.
Right, right. Okay. So, what advice would you give to parents or um, parent figures for children who have experienced a loss and are dealing with the grief? Maybe they don't have the finances or the availability to have someone to work one on one. So, how can the parents best support the children in helping them work through that grief?
Yeah. So if someone's listening and that is their situation, they don't like have the ability. Um, the Dougie Center is where children's bereavement. They're in Portland, Oregon. That's where like children's bereavement started, like the education. Because the children's bereavement field is not very old. It's about 30 years old. And so when we realize, oh, kids have a lot going on too, because they used to be called the forgotten mourners. That it was like, kids are fine. And it is a hot button issue for me to say, like, kids are resilient, they're fine. Like, they don't have another choice, but let's give them skills so that they're not talking about their childhood in therapy as an adult about not getting support. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the Dougie Center has like you can look online. It's DOUGY Dougie Center in Portland. They have a lot of resources that would be like made available. So that would be the first place that I would go. Like I have a friend that just had a tragedy in Arizona, state or so away, and I was like Dougie Center. There you go. And so I would say that for that, I think that children's grief, it's just so nuanced because it can look a lot different. Kids have something called grief bursts, and so they'll be like, doing something in the sand art that I'm facilitating, and then they'll be like, I think it was terrible the way that my dad died, and it made me mad. Anyway, so and that's normal because their little brains can only handle so much capacity, which is why like a kind of approach. I do a lot of sand tray therapy, which I can explain more if you want, but I do a lot of sand tray therapy. There it's a lot of experiential things with kids because they don't always have the language. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that it's just knowing a little bit more of the language. I think people could support their kids a little bit better. Like we don't say in the children's bereavement field, for example, lost, like I lost a brother, I lost and because kids are really literal. And I had a supervisor in grad school who her brother drowned when she was 5,
Oh.
and she remembers like going her mom taking her to kindergarten and saying, you should know that we lost her brother this summer. And Karen was like, she told us that she's like, in the back of my brain, like developmentally, I was always looking for him.
Mm.
I was looking. And so the big thing with children's bereavement is language. We don't say loved one, we say special person, because there might be a complicated relationship with someone who died and we don't want to assume things, and so it's just special person. So
Mm. What was the sand therapy you were talking about?
oh, I love me talking about sand tray. Okay, so I have this. It's probably the number one modality used with kids, I would say, because it's so great. But I have in my other office, I have 2 rooms. The other one looks like a therapeutic Disneyland. And so it's a coffee table. My friend Dave made mine, gutted it, painted the inside purple, and put the top on so that like you could use that as a table. But I have over in on the shelves, it looks like every Happy Meal over time exploded and ended in character groups. And so there's a lot of prompts to do with kids. But one is show me, pick a character to be you and show me what it's like to be you. And let me tell you, it's fascinating. I had a kid that there is a high conflict divorce, and they picked their character, and then they picked Darth Vader as dad, a tiny mouse as mom, and showed them in the middle. Yeah, right? Like you don't need a degree to like analyze that one. And so, and we don't analyze sand tray, like it's more the process. But and so I would say, and like I did, like show me what like this one wishes would happen, like the characters be them, and then it's like them together. Or show me like split the sand in half, show me what it was like before and what it's like now. Like there's so many things, but it offers a 3D image of the brain that they don't have language for yet.
Hmm.
Mm.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I love sand tray. Yeah, big
Wow.
fan.
No kidding. So the book, it's available on Amazon, which we know. Tell me about it. There it
Okay.
is.
There it is. She's pretty in
Trademark
purple.
purple.
She's purple and she has a little butterfly. Big fan of butterflies. It's my jam. So I like for years and years, like I just thought to myself, I am hearing so many good things that would be helpful to like more parents or caregivers. And so I'm here. So I was kind of like unofficially collecting like data, and then I'm like, this would be really like great in a book. And then about a decade ago, I started doing my own healing work. Because I had gone to a lot of therapy, but related to my mom's death, like not about some of that stuff that I wanted to stay in the box. But spoiler alert, at some point, it outlives its usefulness.
Mhm.
And so I started doing pretty like intense therapy to like, because as aforementioned story, to unpack some of those things. And as I was getting, I like the term congruent, like my insides matched my outsides, and I could talk about it. I'm like, oh, there's probably things I could extract from my own childhood. And so I say that my book is like part memoir, part what is one podcast she introduced me as, it was like part memoir, part guide to not negatively impact kids' emotional development. Okay. And I'd say part support if you were ever 11 or love someone who's 11 is like my line.
Wow. So it focuses on your childhood trauma and healing as opposed to your practice.
No, it's both.
It's both.
It's both, yeah. And so like I start my intro says, Mom, I need to tell you something. And it kind of goes over like one sentence, the outline that I gave you.
Mhm.
And then I all my chapters are hashtags. And so I have one about depression. It's like because I compared depression to like a dragon that's like haunting you. And so my chapter, it's like hashtag denying the dragon. And it's like part what I've seen with kids that come in with depression and how to help and support them. And then like connected to part of my journey. And so it's like it's all woven like in there.
Okay. Okay. So who would your ideal reader be?
I would say someone who really wants to see and support and understand a kid. It's that first and foremost. But what I'm learning from a lot of my friends and some of the reviews on Goodreads and Amazon is that people that are like, I don't even have kids. And I feel like this book helped me because my number one goal was to help people feel seen and heard.
Mhm.
And so people are like, I could connect with this part of your story. And so I would say, like, anyone who has ever had a difficult challenge that hasn't felt represented in a book, because I never felt represented in a book ever.
Right.
And so I wrote my own.
And I remember when we chatted, you were all excited because it was being released somewhere new. So you have it all over the world now.
Well, no, well, like just one place, like Korea. And so somebody that is like really into educational psychology, like in Korea, stumbled across my book and they like could speak English and read English. And so they're like they knew a publisher that reached out to my publisher. And like my publisher's like Stacy owns the worldwide rights, which is like a cool statement. And so I like signed over the like translation rights for it to be published in Korea. And so that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so and like things will look different and like, my cover will be different, but they're the Korean publishers, they were so kind and they're like Korea needs this book. And so that's
Wow.
fun. I know. And so that could expand, but in this moment, those are in the countries like ours and Korea.
So it's on Amazon.com. Is it on Amazon.ca as well?
I do believe so because somebody asked me for a different country and my publisher's like, yeah, it's in most. I guess it is available in most countries. I guess it's only translated into two
Okay.
languages, but it
Right.
is. I mean, that's a better way to say it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I would put money on it that it is. I will check. Probably because
Mhm.
we're friends with Canada, and so my emotional support Canadian. So yeah, it's on Amazon, and I flew to Nashville, Tennessee to narrate my own audiobook because I would be mad if anyone else did it because it's very much my tone. And my at my book release party, my publisher said Stacy writes like she talks, and so it's some word I don't know. And so I did my own audiobook, so it's available on Audible, Spotify. I believe it's free on Spotify Premium, and Barnes and Noble online.
Nice. So probably chapters as well, because chapters chapters Indigo is the biggest Canadian book
Oh,
provider. But I think
ooh,
they're connected to Barnes and Noble somehow. Not 100%.
oh, okay, okay.
So
I'm looking Indigo. That's like very real.
I know, I know. And it was interesting when you had mentioned when we were talking, the Korean version is not going to have the purple cover. It's the
Yeah.
red cover instead,
Oh,
correct?
well, I don't know what color. I don't know
Oh,
what color.
okay.
But yeah, because purple is my jam. And when they're like, is we've signed the rights for we're gonna do a different cover, and I was like, okay. And I said, I'm wondering though, like if it could be purple because that is like my signature and everything I own, easy to shop for, easy to find in a crowd. And they said, well, actually, in Korea, purple is synonymous with death and grief and morbid things, and we don't think your book would do well with the demographic that you are trying to reach. Is that a deal breaker? And I was like, absolutely not. I respect your culture. Just people are gonna ask me when I post about it, like, why is it not?
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, it's only really dark books in Korea that are purple. So I have literally zero idea what it's gonna look like.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to make sure you post the cover when you get a copy of it.
Oh yeah. They asked me, they're like, when I was signing, like, would you? And I was like, of course I'm gonna post about it. I don't know if I'll be able to get it though because of the tariff situation. They
Ah.
said that yeah. I was like, will I be able to get and they're like, actually no. So
Huh. Trying to think if there's some way you can route it through Canada, but no, because you're going to get a nail with tariffs from here to there too.
I'm like, really? Just send me because I was like, my friends are gonna want to get it because that's fun. And they're like, yeah, no.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know, but it's okay. Like I'll see a flyer and be happy, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Um, was there anything else we were going to chat about? We were talking about so much when we were meeting ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean there's just so much to talk about. I could talk all day.
We
So
could talk all day, eh? So, oh, I know what I want to talk to you about. You have a very specific way to, because my question when we were initially chatting was, how do you stay sane?
ah
Because, I worked in mental health, but I was with adults. And I know how hard it can be. And just listening to your stories, I I try to imagine dealing with that every day. And I
mm,
asked you how you keep your sanity. Like, how do you
yes.
keep this from affecting you mentally, personally, physically, all of that? And you said,
Kickboxing. Yes, my happy place going there tonight. I don't care that it's snowing crazy. I'm sure they'll be open. I'm going there tonight. Yeah, my kickboxing gym, shout out to Title Kickboxing, is my happy place. As I was like writing the book, like I would work out a lot of the feelings that were coming up on my bag. And so the one of the lines is like leave it on the bag.
mm,
And so it has 100% been a significant part. Like I have purple boxing gloves. Um like it's pretty great. And my therapy dog is the mascot. And so they do once a month dress up themed parties, and it was reggae last
oh my
month. And
gosh.
so she had like a Bob Marley looking if like people go to my Instagram, like you can see it. But it's like a Bob Marley outfit with a dog costume with little dreads, because that's who I am. And so that's what
Yeah.
you get.
And she's good with getting dressed up. You sent me the pictures. Like, she's perfectly
Mhm.
happy with it.
She's like, whatever.
Yeah. So, how does Willow get incorporated into the practice? I know she's a therapy dog. I assume she's there for support. Is she
Mhm.
just sit kind of in the office when the kids are there? Do they have to request her to be there? Like, is
No, yeah, like 100% of my clients like love, and like when it was shifting in my practice, when I knew I was gonna get her, I was like one by one. I'm like, so, and parents were like this, and I'm like, I'm not quitting. I was like, but it's good news, it's good news. And she's the little baby doll face, and so she has been since I got her at 9 weeks, like here. There was a phase that I was questioning my decision when we were at a Piranha, because I got kids like these big long gloves, just in case like she like nipped them, and I was like, what are we doing? Um, but I have two rooms. This room is called Twilight, the other room is called Sunshine, and so she knows the difference with the rooms. And so when somebody's here, I'll say greet, and she's asleep, so she didn't hear that. But and she'll go to the parents first, because she knows that they're not going to be in the session.
mhm.
And so she'll always go to the parents first, and then she'll go to the kid always. It's really cute, and the kid's like, hey, I'm like, this is what she does. And then so it's just depending on what's going on, but a lot of them just like to hold her. After the evergreen shooting, like her fur was wet all day, because
Oh,
kids were like like hugging her and crying into her fur. And so she's a doll. I was doing trauma work with a kid that had it was a freak accident, and we were doing the EMDR,
mhm.
and they're crying, and Willow came up and licked her tears. I know, it
Oh,
was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Um, and so yeah, I mean, she's really disarming because she's a golden retriever. And so they just love her. Like I had a kid that came in this week that was like not having a great week, and like the instant they saw Willow, like the tone changed. So um Yeah, and then I give kids at the end these like mochi things, like they're like wrapped like gummy toys, and I have
Mhm.
them in a bag. And so I have treats where whatever room the other person sits, and then so I'll say deliver, and so she'll bring the bag, and the kid will give her a treat. It's ridiculously cute.
Oh, so she's really an integral part. They absolutely love her.
They adore her. They adore
Yeah.
her. Like, yeah, and like they're just like, I love you so much, Willow. Yeah, yeah, she's pretty great. It was a
Yeah.
really good decision. Now,
Yeah, exactly. Do you ever think you'll get another one and have two? Or are you just going to stick
no,
with one?
I'm gonna stick with one. I'm an only child, so she's gonna be an only child. She's a lot. I mean, she goes with me everywhere, and
Hmm.
so I get stopped everywhere, because I can't disappear into like be a stranger. Went grocery shopping last night, and they're like, "What?" Oh, so it takes like twice as long, and so but she definitely takes all the air in the room in a good way.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Okay, so how can people find you? We need to do the official stuff.
Okay,
So if they want to
so.
reach out to you,
Hmm.
how do they get you?
That they get me. So my Instagram is Hope Restored, and it's one word. You can find me there on Facebook. It's Stacy Schaefer. My I've my website is stacyschaefer.com. I used to have two, but my manager like split it. She's like, "That's real dumb." So we split it into because I believe like I gave you the author one. But stacyschaefer.com, and on that, if you put in your email address, you can get the first chapter of my book like downloaded. And there's also a link if you want to get the book like on there to like it. Believe it goes straight to Amazon.
Awesome. Awesome. And you're also on TikTok.
I just started a TikTok and I'm not great at it. Like to be honest with you. Like I don't know how to like increase like following. So I'm posting everything that I'm posting on Instagram, but I think it's just it's slower, but
Mhm.
yeah, like one day like they will catch up, but I don't know, man.
I'll have to
There's
check you out on TikTok.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So beginning, but it is literally the I set the timing different because algorithms because this is my life now. I set the timing of the post when TikTok tells me is a good time. Yeah.
You need a social media person to do all that
I
stuff.
well, I have a coach. I have a social media coach, and she's her thing is like like don't worry about TikTok, like focus on Instagram, and so
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
here we are.
Although, I wonder, of course, complete sidebar, but because TikTok is so geared to younger people, I wonder if that wouldn't be a great place to reach them.
Oh, that's a really good point. Like they're like make my audience there different.
Yeah.
Oh, that's ooh. I like where your head's at. That's a great idea.
Like meet them where they're at. Right.
Yes, that's a great idea because like it's more geared towards like the grown-ups in the room, my book. Even though one of my teenagers was like, "Hey, I read your book. There's a lot to talk about." And so I like where your head's at that it's entirely different content.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm gonna take that. Thank you, emotional support Canadian.
You're very welcome.
Yay! But all the grown-ups in the room, find me on Instagram at Hope Restored.
Yes. And when we post this, we will be collabing on Instagram. So people will be able to find you from my page as well.
Yay.
So, anyways, I think we're wrapping up, but I want to thank you so much for joining me and sharing all of your experiences with everybody. I know there's so many parents out there struggling with kids and their kids' mental health. And every little bit that we can get out to them to support them, to give them, means to help their kids, I think is fantastic. And I really hope that anyone that's listening or watching, if you're a parent and you need some support, what's
The Dougie Center.
Dougie Center online. Go there, download, see what they have. And, if your kid needs support, then hopefully there's someone nearby that's able to help. And pull
Yeah.
up Stacy's book, take a read, see if maybe that gives a hand. And however we can help make our kids, let them basically survive healthy mentally until they're adults. It's going to be a challenge.
It's a rough world out there, guys.
Yeah. So all of your contact information is going to be in the show notes on
Yay.
YouTube. So people can just click on the links. And other than that, thank you so much for being here with me.
Yes.
And everybody that is watching, please subscribe, hit the notification button, leave a comment, hit the like, all of that. It helps the algorithms. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.